Hey Sharon, it's an exciting day today for us at Tea Talks.
It sure is, my friend. Sure is.
So, we wanted to jump on today to talk with you about something we've been working on really in stealth mode, probably for the last 6 months. But when we think about it, we've probably had it in our hearts for years. I want to give you a little bit of background on how I know Sharon and how she was reintroduced to my life before we dive in for this. But ultimately, I've known Sharon since I was 15 years old. Her husband was my father's lawyer for his business, and Sharon and Wayne gave me the opportunity to intern at a magazine that they had that featured articles and current events and things like this for the Caribbean basin. And it was an incredible experience. Of course, looking back, it was fun to be 15 and interning at a magazine with fabulous people. But fast forward over the years, we worked on, different things together, ministry things. Our families kept in contact. And last year, I got the text that really nobody ever wants to get, which was a text from Sharon saying I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's not an unusual text for me because I've been in this field for so long. I get a lot of people that will send me a text saying, what do I do? Who do I see? Where do I go? But this one hit me hard because, of course, when it's someone who you care deeply for, your first reaction is to grieve with them the diagnosis. So thank God the cancer was caught early. Thank God it is a low genomic risk cancer. So Sharon didn't have to go through chemotherapy. But nonetheless, a diagnosis of cancer or any chronic illness really changes your perspective on life. At the same time, my company was going through a growth period. And as the largest provider of free medical oncology information in the US, we really knew that we needed to kind of elevate in leadership. And Sharon, being an executive coach, and that being what she has spent the better part of decades working with companies and CEOs and leaders to develop their skills, it was a natural fit. So I invited her in to work with our team. And as this vision started to grow within my heart for what we're going to launch to you today, it was simple for me to just say to her, Sharon, I'd love for you to join me on this. And I actually had a big dream, a sleeping dream that we won't share on this, but I will share, change the way I think our future is going to look. And it was all the more reason for me to invite Sharon. So Sharon, having said that, I'd actually like you as the executive director of this new launch to be the one to introduce to our listeners what we're doing, and then we can kind of banter about what it looks like in action.
Well, I got a little bit emotional when you were recounting how we met and just how God has put us together, and now I am the one getting some of these phone calls as well from people. And that it just reminds me why, God uses everything for good and why I'm here. And so, yeah, I feel privileged, if that's the word, to be part of this. And I remember when you first hinted at your idea, it was about May of last year. You said, I have this idea, and I'm thinking to myself, girl, I don't want you to consider me for the face of anything to do with cancer. That was my thought. I'm like, Lord, no, I wouldn't want to be involved in that. And it's amazing how when working with your team and your company, seeing what you guys stood for, seeing your vision in your heart, seeing the work that you guys were doing, that began to change. And when you presented the opportunity for me to become the executive director, it really was a no-brainer. It was not exactly an easy decision because I was giving up something I also love. But this was so much bigger than that. This was about people's life. and life change, people going through this diagnosis. So I am really privileged. I just wanted to say I'm really honored, thankful, grateful to be part of this vision, Sarah. And if you, I know you have something I can share on the screen. I wanted to share the 3 big initiatives that I'm really excited about that I know is going to have a tremendous impact on people's lives. I'm already sharing these things with people who I'm just talking to casually. But we want to talk about first our Seek Color Certificate program. And the reason why, you know, I will talk about the silver. I have you deal with the statistics, Sarah, on why we're doing what we're doing. But I just want to kick off from the executive director's point of view, the 3 things that I'm going to be overseeing with you in the weeks and months to come. And the first one is going to be our Seek Color Certificate program, which our first workshop is going to be in May this month, virtual. And why am I excited about the Seek program is because we know that there are inequities in care. And I've shared my own story about how I was treated well when I had my diagnosis. Because I had resources and I had people like Sarah. I knew what my rights were. I knew I was an educated patient. But we know that not everyone have the same experience. And so our Seek Color Certificate program aims to educate the healthcare professional on how to not just see color, but to seek out color and how to work with underrepresented groups. So I'm very excited by that. And then the next one I know was on Sarah's heart, which was the one when she first approached me about this ebony trial. I'm thinking, it's a very ambitious goal. I wouldn't want to be the face of it, but now here I am smack in the middle of it. And it's where we're going to have the clinical trials that have more minority representation, more Black women involved, because that is an issue that we're seeing and noticing in clinical trials today is the underrepresentation of Blacks and other, minority groups. So I'm very excited about our clinical trial. And last is our Compass Journey Map, Compass Cancer Journey Map. And this is going to be a map where, for the newly diagnosed, what are the questions that you are seeking desperate answers for? This map will be your guideline to the answers that you're not going to get so easily from your doctor, but it will be more accessible to you here. And if you are a person of color or another minority group, it will have, a superimposed instructions for you that would be more pertinent to what your particular circumstances are. So I am very, very excited to be championing these causes, these initiatives. And I know that, the vision for Sarah and myself is that the work that we do will not only improve lives, but will actually save lives as well. And so I'm so excited to be launching these initiatives under the Cancer Equity Project, Sarah.
Me too. As you were reading those, I want to just jump back to these sobering statistics. Yeah. So in 2020, these statistics came out as part of a national report. And so many times in cancer, we see these data presentations or we read these big analyses of the state of cancer care, let's say in the US or in a certain population group. And it almost becomes the norm. Yeah. It almost becomes that it's like, okay, that's a statistic or that's the data point. And when you really think about it, if you're a Black man, if you're a teenager, if you are a Hispanic teenager, if you are part of a Native people group or Asian and Pacific Islander or someone with low socioeconomic access, these aren't just statistics. This is the prognosis point of your life with cancer. And when you see Black men have prostate cancer, a prostate cancer death rate, not the likelihood of getting prostate cancer or having an aggressive prostate cancer, but you're dying more than twice that for white men. Or Native people, twice as likely to develop liver and bile duct cancer as white adults. Hispanic kids, 20% more likely to develop leukemia than non-Hispanic kids. Asian and Pacific Islander adults, twice as likely to die from stomach cancer than white adults. And men living in the poorest US counties have a colorectal cancer death rate 35% higher than men in affluent counties. This should be where we stop and say, no, don't move to the next slide.
Yes.
Why? Is it race? Is it race as a social construct? Is it race as the way the biology of disease metabolizes through different bodies? Someone recently said, is it weathering? Is it the fact that people of minority ancestry or people who have grown up systemically poor deal with stress, generational stress, differently than those in white or wealthy communities? We have no idea, because unfortunately, of the already dismal 3 to 5% of adults that go on clinical cancer trials, only 2 to 3% of those are people of minority background. These statistics should stop us in our tracks. And for us, Sharon, it did stop us in our tracks. And for this, we launched the Cancer Equity Project. We really do believe if we promote health equity in cancer care with an aim that every patient with a cancer diagnosis lives their life to the fullest, we have no choice but to focus on the things that are contributing to these staggering statistics. It's not enough to know them. We have to do something about them.
And I'm so glad that we are, because, Sarah, you run a successful company as it is, as the largest provider of free medical oncology education in the US. And so the question is why? Why would we do something else? And I love what you say. It's not about talking. It's not about trying. It's about doing. Why would I interrupt my career at this point? Because of what you said. People are dying.
Yeah.
We don't have the answers right now to all the things. As you mentioned, is it race? Is it systemic? Is it biology? We don't know, but we want to know, and we are invested in knowing. And we need partners too. We need partnership. We need funders. Clinical trials cost money, Sarah. We need funders for our map, to put our map together. We need funders. We need attendees. We need participation in our workshops, because we want this to be a team effort. We want this to be a community effort. We want the community to own what we're doing. And so I'm just going to use this platform right here to appeal to the community. Like, if any of these initiatives interest you in any way, please reach out to Sarah or myself, because we are serious about this mission. And we know that we need everyone, everyone involved, everyone to not just, read, but do. Not just read, but write a check. Not just read, but be involved. Not just read, but spread the word. So I'm going to make this appeal to the community that we need your support. And please feel free to ask us questions, challenge us, reach out. But we're here because we are serious about this mission, because people are dying.
People are dying. I don't know what it's going to take to turn the page with this. We've been dealing for decades in inequity in health, and meanwhile, the healthcare system itself gets more expensive, more complicated. Now we're incorporating artificial intelligence, and it's like we're leaving whole groups of people behind, and the divide is getting wider and wider, and our attentions are being focused on things that bring profit. But at what point do you stand back and say, no, people are dying? Like, we remember early on in the COVID days, COVID coverage on TV, where they had those tickers on the news. You couldn't get away from it. I mean, I actually had to turn it off to get away from it, but you can't turn this off.
Right.
You can't turn this off. Someone is being diagnosed, a young Black woman is being diagnosed at an earlier age with little kids with more aggressive disease, and she's dying at a doubling rate.
Yep.
What are we going to do about it? Like, we sit in a seat of educating tens of thousands of cancer providers with the latest advances in cancer care, it's unacceptable for us to do that and ignore that a whole set of minority population groups are not represented in the advancements that we're seeing. And it's almost like a reckoning time for us. Like either, you know, stop what we're doing or stop proclaiming that we're the best or the biggest, you know, get to work. That's where I am with it. And I feel like that's where I can hang my hat and say, this is what motivates me to continue to be better, not at being bigger or more profitable, but taking what God's given us as resources and saying, let me serve the least of the people because they're invisible.
Yeah.
They are otherwise invisible. So let me use my platform to shine a spotlight. And it really is something that when you think of 50% of the global population will be touched by cancer, who doesn't it affect? Who doesn't it affect?
That's right. And I just want to just end my piece by saying, you know, for those watching, it's not a black and white issue. It's not a race issue in the sense that, oh, you know, there's just, you know, it's a black movement. This is just a people movement. And we are just choosing to reach back out to those who are underserved. That's it. It's as simple as that. Underserved communities.
Underserved communities, Black communities, Spanish communities, Native communities, Pacific Islander communities. Now we're starting to think about people that live in rural or frontier-based communities, poor communities. Like Sharon said, you know, so much that we're hearing of DE&I is, you know, oppression of certain people groups. But when you think about it today, most of us are a mix of people groups.
That's right.
And we've got to start thinking about it more dynamically than, as Sharon said, black versus white. That's not the issue. We're dealing with the issue of who lives and who dies.
That's
and there's got to be equity there. Like there has to be equality there. There has to be inclusion there. These are not choices of wants. These are choices of needs. Families are being affected by these statistics, and we're in a position to do something. And I gotta say, I feel equipped to do it. I feel ready to do it. I feel empowered to do it. And as Sharon said, what we're looking for now is let's get together with like-minded people and be supported in doing it.
That's right. Well, Sarah, once again, I just want to thank you for inviting me on this journey. It's not a journey I thought I'd be on, but one that I'm so grateful that I am on. So Thank you so much for the vision and for executing on this vision. And we look forward to wrapping our arms around other stakeholders as well and making this work.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you all.